good afternoon, and welcome to Senior Center Television. It is Wednesday, February 11th, 2015, and I'm your host, Kathy Mitchell. With me today, I have Donna Rupp. Donna is an artist. She is an artist of this work that is behind me and goes all the way down the hall. Donna is a mixed media artist. And Donna, am I right that this is your third show with us?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Donna, I want to just start off by saying, as you know, I'm also an artist. I'm a mixed media artist. And, went through all of that formal study, learned the painting, the drawing, the watercolor, everything. Around 1965, I fell in love with three-dimensional. I have never looked back, I love the mixed media form. I love the building. So what about you? When did you start this, and what was it about it that you just fell in love with it?
I started this particular art form only 3 years ago. But I have always enjoyed art and took a little art class in college, in undergraduate. And it's always been, I wouldn't say a passion, but something that gives me great pleasure. And the creative process is what I enjoy the most.
Okay. Well, what I want to do today, we don't really need to go through these and say what they mean. I think they're pretty self-explanatory. But what I'm really interested in is your use of materials and the process that you use. So let's start down here. For this particular show, you do two very different types of work. Yes. We're very familiar with these faces, which we will come back to. But I would like to start with the signage first. This signage that you're doing now, this is something quite different from the faces that you do, which we will be looking at in a few minutes. This is something very new for you, isn't it?
It is, but they both represent something that's very important to me, which is my focus on not throwing things away, using things that can be repurposed, recycled, reused for different purposes. And so whether it's the faces or these signs, it's everything that I use is material that have come from flea markets, resale shops, antique stores, things that have already been used for something else.
When you are designing a piece, you have all these antique materials which you are repurposing, do you have a particular piece in mind? In other words, when you did this Iowa sign, you thought, oh, I wish I could find a piece of antique shears for this, or I wish I could find an old house number. I mean, do you design it first, or do the materials determine what the piece entails?
The materials definitely determine what is going to happen. I have gotten so that I see letters in everything and faces in everything, every place. And so then I find ways to use those materials in different ways. The W, for instance, is an old bicycle chain, and when I can't find a W anyplace else, I can construct one from the bicycle chain or the lamp chain and different things.
Okay. Do you tell friends and acquaintances, relatives, you go, please don't throw anything away, just wait till I get there, I will look through your stuff?
I don't usually have to. People seem very anxious to give me things, and I have had clock parts from a brother-in-law and old tools from another brother-in-law, and sisters who have found junk that's been sitting in their junk drawers for years, and they pack them up and send them to me. So it's I don't have to ask.
Have you ever, if you get your dream piece, I'm looking at this great A in Iowa, and you just get your great dream piece and you're setting it in and it just doesn't work?
That happens often. I spend a lot of time trying to find some unifying element to each piece, whether it's the metal, the gray, the different textures. I like to try and find different textures for a sign. So it's a lot of mixing and matching for a long time before I ever actually put it together.
Okay, well, what I'd like to do, I would like to go down to the faces, because you've got quite a few of them. This is what you're pretty well known for. And then we'll talk a little bit more about materials, but also I'm very interested in your process. Okay, so here we are in front of your really famous faces, because this is what really people know about you. Donna Rupp and these great quirky, and I'm using your own words here, quirky faces, all right? So we are standing in front of your favorite one. Now, again, I want to ask about this process. You are using these old materials here. I want to ask you, too, about the wood. I noticed that you use some very, very nice wood in all of your pieces. I want to know where the wood comes from.
The wood for the faces is almost always pieces of lumber that have been used for other things or scrap from construction sites. This one over here was a cutting board. Um, the boards for the signs usually are reused cabinet fronts that I got from Restore, actually in a Restore in Chicago, that must have a deal with cabinet salespeople. These are samples, and I just take those. They're all finished for me. It makes it very easy to do. Okay. It's laziness, maybe. I call these vintage faces. And each, I believed when I first started making these that each face that I made had an expression, and the stories were to reflect what that expression was saying to me. And sometimes when I make a face like Liz here, it takes a while before the story comes out. I have to live with her for a while, and then the story comes out of it. Everybody has secrets, everyone has dreams, and so these faces are secrets and dreams of those vintage people.
Part of the pleasure of looking at these faces is reading the biographical sketches. They are very, very thought-provoking. Some of them are very funny, but some in the past have been very serious. I remember, was that the one with Sandy Hook that you had last time? It was a very, very serious one and very touching. All right, so again, if we could talk about the process of this, of how you actually put these together, because they're beautifully made.
Well, thank you very much. Usually I'll find one piece. For instance, this one, the nose was a piece I started with. I found one piece, and then through all the materials I have, trying to mix and match and see what fits and seems logical, seems reasonable to go with that piece. Now, you wouldn't think that a wire brush would be for a librarian, but with one eyebrow showing and her hair covering the other side, it worked very well. This, as I explained to Kathy, is me. That was the inspiration when I made it, because she's a retired librarian. I actually knit at the senior center. She quilts, but she has the conversation was that everyone has secrets, and Bonnie admitted to herself that she had Woodstock, and then of course there was that dragonfly tattoo she had, and it leaves you to wonder where the tattoo is. So I try to leave the reader something to think about.
I do want everyone who is watching this to know that all proceeds for the faces, all proceeds go to the senior center. So thank you very much, Donna, for that. That is most gracious. And you do take commissions, yes?
I do.
Okay.
I do. I've made quite a few signs. They've been custom ordered for different people, whether they were for loved ones or family names, lots of different things, and they can specify what type of materials, for instance, if they want them on barn boards or on nice cabinet drawers or whatever. So,
okay, this is the moment where you get to make your pitch. If someone wanted a commission, how would they reach you?
I guess email me. I think the easiest way would be to have you email.
What is the email?
The email is vintage.words@yahoo.com.
Okay, is there anything else before we end here? And you know how much I love your work. I actually own a piece. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our audience before we conclude?
Well, I hope you have a chance to come and look at them. The reason I enjoy sharing them is because I'll stand up here and I'll listen to people chuckling over some of the stories, and it gives me pleasure.
I'm so glad, and thank you so much for being us today.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay.
Thank you all.